This is a joke, right? The laugh comes before the answer, sharp, performative, loud enough to carry. Ava Santori, 20 years old, leans back and tosses the question at Judge Frank Caprio like a dare. Miss Santori, you're addressing the court. Caprio's voice is level, almost gentle. That means you answer when asked, and you listen when corrected. Let's try again. Do you understand the charges? I understand my father is Senator Leon Santori, and this is a waste of everyone's time. Names don't enter verdicts. Conduct does. The air tightens. Ava's smile thins but doesn't disappear. Her attorney, Mark Ellery, shifts forward slightly, ready to intervene. Caprio doesn't look away from Ava. Officer DeSantis, please confirm we have the body cam audio queued. We'll need it shortly. Yes, Your Honor. Good. Before we pull the audio, tell us where you're watching from and subscribe to Order in the Court. This one gets uncomfortable. Caprio taps his pen twice on the bench and nods to the clerk. Docket 24 to 7,788. Commonwealth versus Ava Marie Santori. Charges: excessive speed in a residential zone, unauthorized use of an accessible parking space, failure to comply with a lawful order. Citation issued by Officer Jenna Hale, Traffic and Patrol, on Monday at 9:47 a.m. Caprio leans forward. Miss Santori, I want clarity before we proceed. Did you receive a copy of the citation at the time of the stop? I did. And did you read it? I skimmed it. That's not the same. Mr. Ellery, is your client prepared to address these charges today? Ellery stands smoothly. Your Honor, Miss Santori is here to resolve this matter efficiently. We'd like to pay the fines and close the case this morning. This court is not a payment portal, Counselor. Sit down. Ellery hesitates, then sits. Caprio flips a page in the file. There's a notation here. Prior administrative warning linked to a campus parking incident last spring. Not criminal, but context. Miss Santori, did you complete any corrective steps after that warning? Ava blinks. That was nothing. I moved my car. After how long? I don't remember. The note says 3 hours. The complaint was filed by a student using a wheelchair who couldn't access the building entrance. Caprio sets the page down. That's not prejudicial. It's pattern. Ellery tries again. Your Honor, my client acknowledges a lapse in judgment. She's willing to pay the fines today and move forward. Mr. Ellery, paying a fine is not moving forward. It's closing a tab. I want to understand what happened. Miss Santori, walk me through Monday morning. Ava exhales, audibly annoyed. I was running late. I parked in a spot near the pharmacy. I was inside maybe 10 minutes. When I came out, there was a ticket on my windshield and a tow truck hooking up my car. You parked in an accessible space. It was the only spot open. That's not what I asked. You parked in a space marked with the international symbol of access, correct? Yes, but no one was using it. Caprio doesn't raise his voice. Miss Santori, harm isn't just injury, it's denial. Someone needed that space, and you decided your 10 minutes mattered more. No one was injured. Let me read you one line from a written statement submitted by Laura Bennett, a parent who arrived at that pharmacy at 9:52 a.m. The ramp could not lower because a sedan blocked the van accessible zone. My daughter missed her therapy window. Ava waves a hand. I didn't see anyone. Ellery objects. Your Honor, we're straying into emotional language that isn't relevant to the citation itself. Counselor, the right of access is the legal core here. Convenience doesn't trump it, ever. Caprio turns to the officer standing near the side door. Officer Hale, please read your narrative into the record. Officer Jenna Hale steps forward, calm and precise. At 9:42 a.m., I observed a black sedan traveling westbound on Cranston Avenue at an estimated 48 miles per hour in a posted 25-mile-per-hour residential zone. I initiated a traffic stop. The driver, later identified as Ava Santori, did not pull over immediately. She continued for 2 blocks before stopping in front of a pharmacy. When I approached, I observed her vehicle parked in a van-accessible space marked with appropriate signage and pavement markings. I issued a citation for speed and unauthorized use of the accessible space. Miss Santori refused to provide her registration when requested. Caprio looks at Ava. Did you refuse to provide your registration? I was looking for it. Officer Hale continues without prompting. I asked 3 times over approximately 4 minutes. Miss Santori told me to relax. Let's hear it. Officer DeSantis, play the body cam audio. Just the relevant exchange. A brief static hiss, then Ava's voice, clipped and irritated. Relax. Do you know who my dad is? Caprio pauses. Officer Hale, did you hear that statement at the time? Yes, Your Honor. Ava leans forward. That was sarcasm. I was frustrated. Sarcasm doesn't move vans, Miss Santori. Caprio turns to his clerk. Miss Reyes, were there any contacts to this court or the department regarding this case prior to today's hearing? The clerk flips through a log. Yes, Your Honor. 3 incoming calls within 1 hour of the citation timestamp. 2 from a number registered to the office of Senator Leon Santori. 1 voicemail left at 10:51 a.m. Play the voicemail. A man's voice, smooth and controlled. This is calling on behalf of Senator Santori's office. We'd like to discuss case 24 to 7,788 and explore options for a quiet resolution. Please return this call at your earliest convenience. Ellery is on his feet. Your Honor, this is highly irregular. My client is not responsible for calls made by third parties. Overruled. Relevance. Pressures on process. I'm not accusing anyone of wrongdoing. I'm putting facts on the record. That's transparency, not prejudice. Ava shifts in her seat. I didn't ask anyone to call. Maybe not. But someone thought it would help. Caprio looks at the clerk again. Is Miss Laura Bennett available to give a brief statement? She is, Your Honor. By phone. Put her through. A woman's voice, steady but strained, fills the small speaker. Thank you, Your Honor. I'll be brief. My daughter has cerebral palsy. She receives physical therapy twice a week. Monday was a critical session. Her therapist was introducing new mobility supports. We arrived at 9:52. The van accessible space was blocked. I couldn't lower the ramp. By the time we found another spot and got inside, we'd missed the first 20 minutes. The therapist had to reschedule. Missing 1 session can set progress back a week. Ava mutters something under her breath. Caprio catches it. Miss Santori, if you have something to say it clearly. I said I offered to cover any costs. Time isn't invoiceable. Laura Bennett continues. I don't want money. I want people to understand that accessible spaces aren't luxuries. They're infrastructure. My daughter can't just find another spot. Thank you, Miss Bennett. We'll address this fully in the ruling. The line clicks off. Caprio picks up another document. Miss Reyes, this is a text message screenshot submitted by the prosecution. Can you read it? From Ava Santori to an unnamed contact. Timestamp 10:03 a.m. Monday. Got a ticket. Dad said he'll make calls. Don't sweat it. Ava's face hardens. That was private. It was discoverable. Miss Santori, let me lay out a timeline. Citation issued at 9:47 a.m. Calls from your father's office begin at 10:38 a.m. Your text is sent at 10:03 a.m. Someone moved quickly. I didn't ask him to, but you expected it. There's a difference between being helped and being shielded. Influence attempts do not rewrite events. Ellery stands again, slower this time. Your Honor, I'd like to request that the remainder of this hearing be handled in chambers. Media attention on this matter could create unfair bias. Mr. Ellery, the remedy for spin is sunlight. We're staying on the record. Caprio fixes Ava with a calm, unyielding stare. I'm going to ask you 3 yes or no questions. Were you driving 48 miles per hour in a 25 mile per hour zone? Yes. Did you park in a van accessible space without authorization? Yes. Did you refuse to provide your registration when asked by Officer Hale? Ava hesitates. I was trying to find it. That's not a no. The record shows refusal. Your Honor, this feels targeted. Ava's voice cracks slightly, the bravado thinning. People make mistakes every day and don't end up in here. You're not targeted, Miss Santori. You're noticed. There's a difference. Most people don't have a prior warning. Most people don't invoke a senator's name during a traffic stop. Most people don't have their family office call the court an hour later. Privilege is a volume knob that drowns out feedback. Ellery shifts uncomfortably. Your Honor, Miss Santori is a college student with no criminal record. A single lapse shouldn't define her future. I agree. That's why I'm not treating this as a character verdict. I'm treating it as a learning gap. The prior administrative warning was a whisper. This citation is a sentence. If we don't speak clearly now, the next consequence will be someone else's tragedy. 5 seconds. 7. 10. 12. Caprio lets the silence hold. No one moves. No one speaks. Ava stares at the table in front of her. Ellery's pen hovers over his notepad. Officer Hale stands still near the wall. Then Caprio speaks, quietly. Accountability gets quiet, so truth can be heard. Here's my finding. The evidence supports all 3 charges. Officer Hale's account is credible, corroborated by body cam audio and the towing log. Miss Santori's speed endangered residents in a zone with marked school crossings. Her unauthorized use of a van-accessible space denied critical access to a family with mobility needs. Her refusal to comply with a lawful order delayed the stop and escalated the situation unnecessarily. Caprio pauses, then continues. This court does not weigh cases based on titles, connections, or influence. Conduct is the only currency here. Miss Santori, your father's office does not get to call in favors. Your status does not erase harm. The law is not a velvet rope. He flips another page. I also note the prior administrative warning. That warning was not punitive, it was instructional. You were told once that accessible spaces matter. You chose not to internalize that lesson. Privilege hid the consequences. Now they're visible. Consequences teach what privilege hid. The base fines total $480. Speeding in a residential zone, $200. Unauthorized use of an accessible space, $250. Failure to comply, $30. Towing and storage fees, $210. Total financial obligation, $690. Ava exhales sharply. Ellery begins to object, then stops. Caprio holds up a hand. I'm not finished. I'm staying a portion of that total $340 contingent on your completion of a restorative accountability plan. If you complete it fully and on time, that portion is remitted. If you don't, it's reinstated, and you pay the full amount. Here's what the plan requires. First, a written apology to Laura Bennett and her daughter. Not a form letter, not a PR statement, a real apology that names what you took from them and what you learned. You will deliver it in person if Miss Bennett agrees to meet you. If she declines, you'll mail it, and the court will confirm receipt. Second, 1 full week of volunteer service at a pediatric mobility program. Not a photo op, not a social media campaign, hands-on work. You'll assist with equipment setup, therapy space prep, and family support. The program director will submit a log to the court. Third, you'll write and record a 60-second public service announcement on accessible parking. The script will be vetted by this court. No branding, no grandstanding, no mentions of your family. Just facts and accountability. That PSA will be distributed through municipal channels and local schools. Fourth, you'll complete a youth driver reflection course that covers the impact of speed, the function of accessible infrastructure, and the ethics of compliance. Certification of completion will be filed with the court. Fifth, you'll submit a 600-word written reflection on what you learned through this process. Not fluff, not slogans. Truth. Caprio sets his pen down. Mercy is not a coupon, it's a contract with your future. Additionally, I'm making the following recommendations on the record to the Municipal Court Administration, the Traffic Division, and the Senator's Office. 1. Establish an ex parte contact log for all cases. Any off-record communication attempts related to pending cases will be documented and published in a weekly public summary. Transparency is the disinfectant. 2. Implement a mandatory recusal or supervisor co-sign protocol. If any officer, clerk, or court staff member is approached by an elected official or their office regarding a case, that staff member must either recuse themselves or obtain a supervisor's co-signature on all related actions. 3. Develop an accessible space enforcement escalation guide. Violations in van accessible zones should trigger immediate tow priority and rapid clearance protocols. Access is not negotiable. 4. Launch a court clerk hotline for interference reporting. Any attempt to influence a case through intimidation, connection, or coercion can be reported anonymously. Every report will be investigated. 5. Distribute a youth driver education module through high schools and colleges that covers the real-world impact of traffic violations, especially those involving accessible infrastructure and vulnerable populations. If you agree influence shouldn't touch traffic cases, hit subscribe to Order in the Court so this policy model spreads. The door opens. A man in a dark suit enters late 50s, silver hair, the practiced posture of someone used to rooms rearranging themselves around him. Your Honor, I'm Senator Leon Santori. I'd like a moment to discuss my daughter's case. Caprio doesn't stand. Senator, this is an active hearing. You're welcome to observe, but I won't discuss the case with you outside the record. I'm not asking for special treatment. I'm asking to resolve this quietly, for everyone's benefit. Senator, quiet resolutions are how patterns continue. This case is being handled on the record, in open court, like every other case. Ava interrupts, her voice smaller than before. Dad, stop. I want to respond. Not you, me. Senator Santori turns toward her, surprised. Caprio's gaze sharpens. This is not your trial to manage, Senator. Your daughter has counsel. She has a voice. Let her use it. The senator hesitates, then nods and steps back. Over the next 7 days, Ava completes the plan piece by piece. Day 1, she drafts the apology. The court rejects it. Too vague. She tries again. Better. On day 3, Laura Bennett agrees to meet her at the Pediatric Mobility Center. The conversation is short, uncomfortable, and necessary. Ava listens more than she speaks. Day 4 through 6. She assists with mobility equipment setup, learns how therapy schedules are calibrated, and watches a 6-year-old work for 40 minutes to move her wheelchair 3 feet forward. One of the therapists tells her, access isn't a favor, it's the floor. Day 7. She records the PSA. The first draft is too polished, too performative. The court sends it back. She records it again, plainly. No music, no editing tricks. Just her voice and the truth. The driver reflection course takes another 3 days. She completes it without complaint. The ledger is simple. $690 owed, 7 days served, 600 words learned, 1 habit interrupted. Should every accessible parking violator complete service with mobility programs? Tell us below and subscribe to Order in the Court. 2 weeks after the initial hearing, Ava returns to court. This time, she's alone, no counsel, no father, no entourage. Caprio reviews the submitted documents, the apology, the volunteer log, the PSA recording, the course certificate, the written reflection. Miss Santori, I've read your reflection. I want to hear you summarize it in your own words. No script. Ava stands. I thought accessible parking was just about proximity. I didn't understand that the spaces are designed with specific dimensions for ramps, doors, and equipment. I didn't know that van-accessible spaces are even more critical because side entry ramps need extra clearance. I didn't think about what happens when someone can't access a building. It's not just inconvenient. It's isolating. She pauses. I also didn't realize how much I relied on my family's name to smooth things over. I've spent my whole life assuming someone would fix problems for me. That's not accountability. That's avoidance. What did you learn from Miss Bennett? That time is infrastructure too. You can't make up a missed therapy session. Progress is incremental, and interruptions have consequences that compound. I took something I can't give back. Caprio nods. You stopped borrowing power and started earning character. He signs a form. I'm remitting $240 of the stayed portion. You still owe $450 total. That's not punishment. It's a reminder. You'll pay it in installments over 6 months. The court will monitor compliance. Thank you, Your Honor. Don't thank me. Thank the people who taught you what I couldn't. 3 months later, the policies take root. The ex parte contact log is published weekly on the municipal court website. Officers receive training on the recusal protocol. 2 cases are flagged in the first month. Both are reassigned without incident. The Accessible Space Enforcement Guide is adopted citywide. Tow response times for van accessible violations drop by 40%. Complaints of interference are logged through the new clerk hotline. 4 reports lead to formal reviews. Ava's PSA is distributed to 17 high schools and played during driver education courses. It's not viral. It's not celebrated. But it's seen, and that's enough. One parent emails the court, "My son watched that video and asked me why people block ramps. We had a real conversation. Thank you." On a quiet Friday afternoon, Caprio finishes his last case of the week. Before leaving, he writes a single principle on a note card and pins it to the bulletin board behind his bench. Titles expire, habits remain. Choose the ones you can live with. He thinks of Ava Santori, of Laura Bennett's daughter, of every case where power tried to whisper louder than truth. One sentence stays with him, something he told Ava during her final appearance: "Power that doesn't listen becomes cruelty." He turns off the light and locks the door. Dramatization for storytelling and education, not legal advice or reporting.